Welcome to Man on Fire.
Featuring Pastor Paul Sims, Bishop Kevin Graham, and Rob Tolson.
Man on Fire is a part of the Rush Radio family and Cutting Edge Network, hosted every Sunday evening.
This program features hard-hitting, lively discussions with a view through a Christian lens.
But most of all, we have fun while living out our love of God and fellowship with God's people.
Get ready to be challenged and changed with Man on Fire, featuring the pastors.
Everybody's asking, why you always laugh when there is no reason to smile?
Well. New year, new blessings, new toys to play with on this evening. You got Pastor Paul Sims, you got Bishop Kevin Graham, you got us going like hands across America, and your boy Rob Tolson here with you. Welcome to another edition of Man on Fire for God. Pastor Sims, man of God, how are you doing on this evening?
Man, listen, this is the day the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. Again, I say, this is the day the Lord has made. We shall rejoice and be glad. And great is our God and greatly to be praised. Happy 2021. Bishop, over to you.
Man, shake the devil off. In the name of Jesus, we got to shake the devil off. Man, look. I'm just so excited for one more time to be here with my boys, my guys, these dudes from over there, these guys from all around the world who are on this thing with us on tonight. Man, I'm so excited for one more opportunity to be here. Man, one more again, we're going to do this thing again on tonight. Welcome to 2021, and we are excited to get this thing going. So back over to you, Pastor Paul. Lead us in this thing. Let us get going. Let us get saying something to the people. Come on now.
Man, we excited about this thing as we try this new streaming format. I just thank God for Pastor Rob, our producer, as we're doing this thing live on tonight. We getting it, y'all. We promised you something new, and we getting it in 2021. So with that being said, while our producer is doing his thing and making sure everything is working properly, I'm going to just get right into this thing. Bishop, how was worship on today?
Man, worship was an experience as no other. We started out the year, man, just talking to the people, saying something to the people, sharing with them what God had laid on our hearts. You know, this has was a little bit of a year for 2020, and I wanted to call that out and say that what it was and how it was. But we shared today, we simply told the people, we don't know just how much God loves us. And we shared from 1 Peter 2, chapter 2, verses 9 through 10. And he says, in that text, he was talking about we are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. And he says that he brought us out of darkness into his marvelous light. And I shared with the people that we just don't know just how much God loves us. We didn't lose any members this year. We didn't have any issues. Might have lost some family members, but we didn't lose any members. We were together as a church. We had to figure out a new way of worshiping. We had to figure out a new way to come together. But God still kept us together. And we just don't know just how much God loves us, and we ought to appreciate God for his goodness and his glory and all that he's done for us and all he's going to continue to do. So we just had a high time in the Lord today. We just lifted him up high, just worshiped together and came together as the church, and we just praised and worshiped God on this morning. And it was a fantastic service to get the year started. I tell you what, I'm so stirred up and so pumped up for Jesus and what God has us doing this season. I'm just so excited about the things that God is going to do this year. If last year was any indication of what this year can be, we got to get excited. We got to get in our place. We got to get ready to go. So I'm just ready to get this thing going on today. So over to you, Pastor Paul. How was your worship, man?
Hey, man, it was awesome on today, man. Listen, because the first Sunday of the year, 2021, you know, I'll be honest with you, Bishop. I wanted to take the people to a different level and challenge the people. And like I told you last time, we talked about pursuing God today. And that was what the message was today. I told the people, I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all this is your year for God to open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a double blessing. I'm not going to tell you this is the year for God to restore everything. I'm not going to tell you all of that today. I said, what I am going to tell you is this is the year for us to pursue God. And if we pursue God, with everything that we've been through, we came out of Psalms 27, verses 1 through 4, and talked about it. Said that the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear. With all we've been through in 2020, you know, we're going to let God strengthen us. We're going to let God renew us and restore us. And so we're going to focus on allowing God to show us what he wants us to do. We're going to focus on that, and we're going to commit to that, and then we're going to form this relationship that we have with God. So this year, all that we do, we're going to pursue God, and that's really what we talked about on today, because we want to set the tone for this year. Listen, I told you, I'm not going to sit up here and try and give you no pep rally and do all those things. I'm going to tell you that we need to pursue God and the relationship that we have with God. And so that's what we're talking about on today, man. I'm just excited to set the tone for the year. And so, Pastor Rob, I know that you're doing things and everything. I know you're figuring out everything. So I don't know how worship was at Zion on today, but we just want to get we here, man.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm actually pretty good right now. I think this is pretty intuitive. And for everyone that does not know, we are trying out again. We are driving. And one of the things I will give Pastor Sims credit for, that every year I think we have tried to do a little bit more to reinvest and to also try to do some things in a different kind of way. So that's one of the things that I'm glad that we're able to do. You know, so with us on worship on today, I will say that also today was a new season for Zion. Zion has now become one church with multiple campuses. So we do have 1105 Dayton Street, which is now known as Zion North, former New Creation. So I guess that will be Zion North at New Creation Church. And that is where we have now basically partnered. We are now taking over the ministry there of New Creation, which was one of our daughters, Reverend Ella V. Redfield, and we were able to have 2 worship services on today. The messages were consistent basically in dealing with the accountability, achievability, and activity there, and looking at the 3 points that Pastor Bird put out on today. So that's where we're basically coming out of on today, and being able to do that was definitely a good message to be able to hear and to really look at our purposes and things of that. That's one of the huge things that I've looked at in terms of today, and really trying to look at what my discipleship will look like for 20 and 21. So that being said, it was a good thing. Some glitches, if you will, along the way as well. Technologically, and I would say scheduling wise, with some things that we can work out. But I do think that the body was edified on today, and definitely happy about that. So that was worship for us on a nutshell on today, to be able to look at that, and to now having to do basically 2 sermons in one day, one live, one pre-recorded, some of the other elements that were there, but really setting the stage for us for 2021 and what God is expecting of us. I do appreciate that Pastor Bird was able to do that for us on today, working in concert with Pastor Redfield, Reverend Redfield up there, who is our executive pastor, and basically the founder of that site there. So I definitely appreciate that. And that was part of today's worship experience there, Pastor Sims and my boy, the Bishop. So that's what happened up in Washington, D.C. and Silver Spring, Maryland on today.
Amen, amen, amen. And Pastor Rob, I thank you for that. And, excited for what God is doing in the life of Zion Baptist. And, everything is good. I do want to say this, and I thank God for Bishop and for Pastor Rob being flexible enough to try. Like Pastor, we have tried to take it up to a new level every year. And I just want us to know that you now can catch us. We're on Twitch. We are on both Facebook channels today, Man on Fire, as well as the Redeeming Grace page. We're on our Twitter feed via Periscope, and we're on YouTube Live at this time. And so we're streaming to all those different platforms. So we have a lot going on right now. A lot more comments are coming in. And we just thank God for how God is taking this podcast and this relationship between us to a different level. And I'm just excited. And I want to say that, y'all, I'm just excited as we attempt to reach more people, and we just try and go there. So Pastor Rob, man, I just want to applaud you as our producer. And, we learn from the best. And I call him the mean producer in Russ Danger. And Russ Danger has taught you and I and did some things, and you had official training in there at the one and only the real HU. And because of the real HU, excuse me for that, the real HU, you've been instrumental in making this thing take it to another level. So we thank God for that.
Man, well, God bless you, man. I'm going to say, those were very humble beginnings, but I do also, definitely very thankful for what we're able to, have up here and being able to do and just basically engage with people. So we please welcome your questions. We welcome your comments. Definitely want to make sure that you all know this is still interactive, very much interactive. And trust me, for me, right now, this reminds me of the first thing I learned in radio at WHOV FM 88.1. Always have several things queued up just to be able to do that and to be able to show different things. So, that is one of the things that we definitely love and have to have there. So I don't know who the monarch is, but we definitely have to go ahead
Hey man,
and say.
I have to shout out, man, Pastor Rob. You gotta let me shout out my partner. That's my man Andre Sneed from Mendel. That's a Mendel monarch. We went to high school together. That's my high school partner, and I just thank God for him. And what happened? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. I can still hear you.
Okay. Well, yeah, man, that's my man. Smooth, man. Sneed, how you doing, man? And the brother, he went through some things earlier this year. God brought him back. COVID, man. COVID had him, but man, that dude's a fighter, man. And so we're Mendel monarchs. So and Mendel put out some monarchs, man. That's what he mean by that. And I just thank my monarch brother for being on here tonight with us as well. And we thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule. Also, what he does with CPD. He's that man. That's my dude right there. And we rode Trump tight back in the holiday. I don't mean Trump tight 45. I'm talking about Trump tight. You know how we do when we play spades. That's my guy. So great man of God as well. And I think the world of Andre Sneed. So over to you. Over to you.
Oh, well, no, man. I just wanted to make sure that we caught who you may have had up on here and just being able to catch that on this evening, Pastor Sim. So I'm glad that we were able to do that. And, definitely there. And Bishop Courtney's looking for you. So, definitely wanted to thank you there for that. So, Courtney, that ice cold brother that's on here, man. So he definitely had to make sure that he wanted to know what happened to the bishop there to be able to show that comment that came, man. So, Courtney, don't worry, man. The bishop ain't going nowhere. The bishop is right there, man. The bishop is right there. Let me just say as well, several of us in our private lives are managing several different things. So if you hear me maybe or see me whip my head really quickly, it's only because I have my daughter here right now. And for those that do know that my daughter is four-legged.
Yeah.
And very mischievous at times. So sometimes she demands all of my attention. So there may be a Linda Blair kind of spirit that takes over me to have me whip my head really quickly to say, officer, we're on this camera live and we can't always stop that there. So definitely just want you all to know these are the realities, especially when you do these things live and they're not pre-recorded there. So, those are things that we go through. Right. So at any rate, that definitely is what we're doing this evening. So D. Pearl Barnett, thank you for your comment there talking about the new platform looking well, and Happy New Year to you as well. So with that, my brothers, we are in a new year.
Yep.
New dispensation of grace. Yes, and we have definitely come out of 2020 and looking at 20 and 21.
Yep.
I think you all touched on it a little bit, but let me go back. I know we touched about worship on today. Pastor Sims, I know you and I basically were kind of busy. I know we invited people to go over to the Zion platform to be able to join in worship on there for watch night. And with that, and I'll ask Bishop, because I know that you did not necessarily preach for watch night. I know you came on and did a prayer at watch night. And of course, I was helping to stream and very frustrated with my equipment here, dealing with some technological issues that were there. But Bishop, what did you preach on watch night, man? And did you do anything different, I guess, with this setup? In the COVID-19 environment? Did it cause you to change anything up? And what did you preach on?
So for this watch night, we did not have a watch night service. We did something during Christmas Day. We just did a prayer and praise Christmas Day to celebrate, because I knew that when 10 o'clock strikes, I am asleep. And I explained to the church that, listen, the bishop will not be able to preach at midnight or 11:30 because I will be asleep. And the church was unanimously voted and said, Pastor, well, we don't need to have a watch night service because it makes no difference for you to be up there sleeping and we trying to have service. So I said, listen, we just going to have to get it in on Sunday morning when we come back to celebrate the new year. But let us pray and let us have time together and we will just enjoy ourselves. Because one thing we learned in school was you got to be honest about your calling and your abilities. I know after 10:30, I am no more good to anybody. I just got to go lay it down. So I'd rather have an early morning than a late morning. So they were very generous and recognized that we all need a little rest every now and then. So we did not have a service this year. I told them now next year, if we are back in place where we're inside the sanctuary, we will be able to have a service because we will be around one another and y'all will keep me awake. But if I'm in my own house, in my own comfort, trying to stream a service, it's probably not going to go very well. So we did not have one this year, Great Leader, but we will be looking forward to the one in 2022. Amen.
Well, with that, Bishop, let me just say this first. I'll start with the fact that I applaud you, Bishop, for that and that kind of fortitude and just that kind of honesty. But let me say this as well, man. I know that I have one slight advantage over my man, Pastor Sims, right now. And that's the fact that I have had the privilege and the pleasure of visiting Ford, Virginia. Pastor Sims, I will say this. If memory serves me correct, the bishop does have a nice office, of course. He has a nice church where he pastors, and he does have a nice office. But in there as well, I will say that there is some nice, comfortable seating that is in there as well. That, if allowed to tarry, brother, I would tell you what. They may ask me, why am I not quite in the sanctuary to begin with, if that is the case, Bishop? And maybe you would need to take a respite until about 11:15, especially if noise doesn't bother you.
Right.
And these days, in all honesty, I'm finding that I am hitting a wall and dropping very quickly, simply because I'm dealing with some pain and other issues that are going on that I'm sometimes fighting through, very fidgety about and everything else like that. And then after that, either the pain takes over or either I'm just like, you know what, enough is enough. I guess if my body says, look, you've been trying to deal with this, everything else will get a nap in when you can. And when it hits me, brother, I'm down. So I feel like I can sleep through anything right now based on some things that I'm dealing with. So, brother, I would just say this. If it was bad enough for me and some other stuff, and then realizing that I, may have to stand and endure in some pain, I may be asleep in that office, even with the sounds of music and everything else like that, and then be up, and be able to get there. So I just want to say that maybe for Watch Night 2021, if you're back in the building, then that may be a place that the church have to come get me from and be like, Reverend, you know it's about time right now. Like, come on out there hot like James Brown and come on out there and then go ahead and get somebody to put the cape on me and then slide on out there. So if you happen to do that, let me just say I would understand. Let me just say I would understand. So definitely, brother, there are some blessings in pastoring I can see in Ford, Virginia at Mount Pool Baptist Church. And so I definitely get it. And I'm sure as well. I will say Pastor Sims probably knows the same thing, but we both had services the next day. He had a wedding. I was supposed to have a funeral, did not know, but it actually ended up getting postponed. So, but still was preparing to do a funeral. So, been very, very interesting and very good. Also, let me shout out the vessel that God used in my life to get me here. That is one E. Marlene Tolson. I will say that this chair, not because of the fact that this virtual background that you're able to see it, I will say that Sister Tolson in her benevolence felt the need for her son to have a new chair.
Oh, right.
And for anybody in the DC area, I want you to understand what this chair feels like right now. Very nice chair. I want to say my mama did not go cheap on the son. I would have just been cheap and raggedy. But this felt like my mama went down to Anacostia, y'all. And anybody that has been to DC and been through Anacostia will understand that this feels like my mama got me the big chair. I need some help getting in this chair because it is so big and so wide. And no lie, my mom and I struggled, and I had to take the chair. I got it apart in one room to slide it down to the office. Now, again, I'm in DC. I'm in an old row house. I had to take the chair apart because it would not fit over the threshold because the chair is so big and so wide. So I want you to know that the king has a king-size office chair right now with nice little handles on it now that I can kind of sit back and everything. And, yeah, I want to thank her for. I feel like I'm on the Star Trek Enterprise right now.
Look at God.
I want to thank E. Marlene Tolson because my God,
yeah,
I didn't know I had this need in my life, but she decided that I had a need that I didn't know that I had. So I want to thank her for that. Allowing me to, I'm having to adjust my chair to go down. I'm like, I'm sitting really high up and other things. So a lot of things you just don't know when you used to just, just the regular comforts. You're just a regular old dude. So I do want to say that as well, man. So hey to mama.
Mama, you got some other sons. I'm just gonna put it out there in the atmosphere.
Amen.
Hey man, I'm
you got some other sons.
Yeah.
Hey. Well, it sounds like that poem, Mother to Son. I hear y'all going in reverse though. Yeah, man. So I definitely wanted to say that. Also, brothers, I guess I really want to kind of to get into everything, and I mean, there's some there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on. We're gonna see what we can do here if I can literally try to deal with some of this stuff that has been going on. One of the things that I kind of want to touch on is the fact that we had a jazz musician and his son that stayed at a hotel in New York. There was a 22-year-old female that lost her phone and accused the 14-year-old young man of stealing her phone. The debacle that happened and unfolded has been something that was, one, very traumatic to watch. And I want to make sure that I'm also, very much fair in terms of what has happened, because it was bad. And I know that if the situation were reversed, how they would try to paint this and try to, dig into things. And even with the video footage, which sometimes to me, I'm blown away with, that we, have this video footage, yet people, I guess, will still kind of spin things. And I guess I feel like I'm at a Siegfried and Roy kind of show that obviously my eyes couldn't have seen what I've seen simply because it involves an African-American. And I just definitely want to be able to share that. And just being able to show what is going on at least, and to try and pull that up. So let me do this here and really try to pull this up here so you all can see this this footage that is here, and see if this will work. Doesn't look like it has or is working right now, so that may not work.
You got it on, you sharing your screen?
I do have it on share screen. You know what? And that has become screen one. No, that is screen two. So I may have to pull these up. It looks like over in Chrome, it looks like, Pastor Sim. So just give me a second there, and I will pull this up for you all, because it looks like StreamYard does not like anything but Chrome. So I'm going to have to pull that over there and redo all of this stuff that I had prepped for this evening. So please know, folks, even though, again, this is live, a lot of this stuff was prepped and prepared, in all honesty, to be able to do this on this evening. And definitely just simply want to just kind of copy this URL.
And while you're preparing that, I'm going to go on and kick off into that. And, when I first saw that, that whole clip and that whole piece, honestly, I'll be honest, that wasn't funny. I mean, what I mean when I say that is, it comes a point to where you get to a point, Bishop, to where this stuff becomes old news, and it gets to a point to where it's no longer to see people just be comical. But I'll be honest, there was a couple of things, and I even put it on my Facebook page the first day it happened. It came out on the news because there was a comment where the young man said to his father, "Dad, I'm just trying to help." And Bishop, that struck me because he was sincerely trying to help diffuse the situation. And his father had had enough and says, "No, son, you don't have to show them anything." Mm-hmm. And so, you know, the young lady, what also bothered me was the manager's response. The manager immediately took the side of the young lady, the European American young lady, without any thought. I mean, there was no thought to it. She says to him, "Don't let them leave, get my phone." And he does not even hesitate to take her side. The young man is not even given the benefit of the doubt. She's not even questioning as if she could be wrong. And those are the things that frustrate me, Elder Fields, that frustrate me about this whole piece and this particular incident is that these things continue to happen. But this one just pushed me over the edge to where I'm at a point now, Bishop, where I'm at enough is enough. You know, I started to call, you know, Fields and DK and everybody else. Let's go handle this thing. And Bishop, I mean, it's pretty tough. So Bishop, over to you on that one, man.
Yeah, man. I want to side with you in the same sentiments. I mean, I was deeply disturbed that what we learned in school about white privilege was totally at hand and visible. So much so that this particular lady who is Caucasian American could say, "Oh, this black guy did this," and it would automatically be assumed that was correct. And what bothers me the most is the desensitization of us as people, that it was automatically agreed that he had done something wrong when he had not done anything at all. And what bothered me the most is that any one of us at any moment could have been in his shoes.
Yeah.
Where someone can accuse us of something that we have no idea what they're talking about, no connection to it, no anything. And it just bothered me just because I saw myself in that situation. Yeah. I saw myself in that situation, and I know my father's temper. And I know how my father would have responded if that would have been me.
Yeah.
And it would have been a whole different situation. I mean, just crazy. And so it just hurt me to my heart, because here it is, him not doing anything. Just walking through the lobby of a hotel, you know, and being accused of stealing a phone in 2021, a cell phone.
Right.
I mean, you can get a cell phone for 99 cents. I mean, it's like, no, you know, and it also shows the value of life.
Yeah.
That someone's life is not as valuable as a cell phone.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Pastor.
No. I was just Shan brought up a very valid point. She hasn't apologized as of yet. She has not apologized, and she said, and Shan also said, this is the same behavior that has been going on for years, especially from white women, and you know, and so you know. Baby, I want you to go. I want you to finish your thought, Perry. I want to go somewhere. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I mean,
no. I was just saying, it's just the value of life. Like, you know, where has humanity gone? What happened to just humanity? Just the care and the nurture of human beings and human rights. You know, that you could say about someone over a cell phone, and put a cell phone higher than someone's dignity, someone's pride, someone's natural rights to be able to move and travel and go about as normal people. I mean, you restricted all of that.
Right.
And it just blew my mind to see someone act that way about a cell phone, and to accuse a child of a cell phone. So it just blew my mind just seeing the whole thing. It just disgusts me to no end. And then to know that she still has not apologized, because it was found out that he did not have the cell phone.
Right.
He didn't have anything to do with her cell phone. I don't even know how she pinpointed him to be connected to her cell phone, but it was just ridiculous in my mind. So over to you, Pastor Paul.
Here's what else
Let
bothers
me
me
just go
about
across y'all real quick. I do have the footage that is there for those who may not have seen it.
Go ahead. You beat me to it. You beat me to it, Elder Fields. You beat me to it.
Yeah.
You beat me to it.
Yeah.
Pastor Rob, once your video starts to play, you got to play or change your window. While Pastor Rob is bringing it up, the next point I want to try and make while he's bringing this video up, when I want you all to see it, is heaven forbid if
Y'all can't see it.
Go ahead.
Y'all couldn't see it.
No, we can't see it. You got to change your window. You got to change your window to one of those windows on the far right.
I pulled it up and changed the window. We try it again. Okay, let's see. I did that. I clicked on share.
Yeah, now across the bottom, you got to change to one of them. Select one of them bottom window, the far right one to show the whole screen.
Do you see it now?
No.
Okay, well, I did do the share screen, and
yeah, but you see those boxes across. Where you got us showing up. You got to go across all the way to the right and select that last box.
Okay, go across there.
Double click that, and it should tell you on to begin sharing.
Don't see that, my brother, but that is my issue there. So you can go ahead on, Pastor Sims.
All right. Well, listen. What I want to bring up is what if that young man's father, and I apologize for that. What if that young man's father had not been there to step in and intervene with his son? What if that young man had just wandered into the hotel to use the restroom, get a bottle of water, whatever he may have done, for whatever reason, he was downstairs in the lobby without his father. What would have happened had he had no parent to step in for him? He could have been arrested, and so it could have been far worse if he even resisted. But nobody was there to stand up for him had his father been there. So we have to understand something. We really have to understand. And so and I love it, Elder Fields. Although we've made strides, we still have work to do. And and I would hate to think, because I'm gonna tell you something. I thought about what if that had been Christopher? What if it had been my son in that lobby, and that lady accused him, and I would not have been there? What would the police have done? How would they have handled that? And when my son been falsely accused, now given a record for something he did not do, how could that could have escalated into so many different ways. My God, Deborah, oh my God, listen, love you. But listen, that's where that could have gone to, and I really want us to understand, and like Elder Phil said, we've made some strides. But yet there is so much work to be done and so many more things for us to do and or accomplish. Bishop, back over to you.
Yeah, and it goes without saying, this has been a long-term history of events like this happening. This is not new information, unfortunately, but the same thing continued to consistently happen, and our society is so torn against African American men that we're always deemed to be in the wrong, always deemed to be doing something wrong, always deemed to be even jokingly, oh, you gonna do this, you gonna do that, or if a black man walks in the room, oh, he about to steal something, he about to do something negative. Why can't it be given the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's coming to help? I was recently talking to even a police officer. He even explained that sometimes, even as a police officer, when he's in his plain clothes, he gets believed to be something that he's not, and has to present his ID to prove that he is not up to something negative. And so it just reminds me that we still in some ways have to carry our freedom papers.
Powerful. I love it. 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 I love the way you ended that we still have to carry our freedom papers. That's powerful. And I'm gonna say this, and from their father's perspective, Pastor Roy, I know you're still trying to deal with that. From their father's perspective, I want y'all to grab this. Last night, I never saw this movie. I was watching a movie last night called Emperor. Never seen it. Bishop, you ever seen this movie?
No.
Pastor Roy, seen this movie?
What was the name of the movie, Pastor Sims?
Emperor. And it's a movie written in slavery times. And this man, oh man, what is his real name? But his original name from Africa, he was a slave, was Emperor. But now his name in America was his American name is something totally different. But he's a slave, and his son in turn gets whipped for reading. And he goes off and loses it and kill up some folks, and it's a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful movie. If you do have a chance to watch it, it's on Stars, on Black Stars. But it's a very powerful movie, and it plays out this whole narrative. And so, but he steps up for his son, and he goes and he has to deal with this thing, and he makes some decisions that has an impact. But he in turn, I'm not going to tell you the whole movie, but you got to watch this. But that's what we do. That's what mothers have done for their sons and daughters, and that's what fathers should be doing. And I think we need to understand those things, and we have to understand that as far as we've come, we have so much to go, so far to go. And Bishop, I just absolutely love it when you said that we still have to carry our freedom papers. God knows. Come on, Elder Fields. I see you. I said, powerful woman of God, beautiful woman of God, Deborah Simmons. Love you, love you, love you.
Yeah, and let me just jump in here really quickly. Looks like I cannot get this up right now. There'll be more beta testing, I guess, that we'll have to do there. But I will just say this and share that while we may not be able to see it, and it sounds like most people are familiar with this, but I always try to use visual tools with us as well. Sadly to say, though, it is sad to see what is there. The young lady has come out to say she's not racist. They've caught her at McDonald's back out in California. She wanted to throw in that she is Puerto Rican. Some other things that are there that I think then say that she has not done that. But there are also things that show that she has a pattern of doing this. She had been arrested in February of 2020 for an incident with her mother, with both of them being intoxicated and then having an issue with law enforcement there. So unfortunately, this is not the first time that she has had incidents while staying at the hotel as well. And as much as both this young man's parents, mother and father, got up to speak at a press conference, as the father of this young man said, he didn't want his son to grow up and be traumatized and to feel that trauma is going to be the norm for his life, and trying to speak up with that. And for those that may or may not know, Attorney Ben Crump has also been solicited to get on the case with this. So it has been amazing to look at this. And, there's mounting pressure for the DA to bring about charges for this incident that is there. And I think that we have a right as well, that we need to still demand justice. And I think that that's one of the other things that I have to look at and just interject, that sometimes justice includes everyone but just us. And there are times that we're really having to be at the forefront of demanding justice, unfortunately, as well, versus having to ask for it. And just really demanding it, because we can see the injustices that happen to us. And thank God, in some ways, while people may be reaching for other things, we have to reach for cell phones to be able to prove ourselves, even when the police show up sometimes. And even with that, I've been amazed since 1993, to be honest with you. So, and if we don't understand that, I'm looking at like a whole Rodney King situation, or 94, I guess, or so, when I have to look at it and say, y'all didn't see this footage that I saw. You don't see these people whipping this man that bad. And as much as I can also hear the comedic jokes, I have a little bit of a chuckle there, because I hear all of these people talking about, hey, man, you ain't going that fast in a Hyundai, So I hear people talking about that. But to think about the fact of how badly that man was whipped, to think about also Reginald Denning being whipped that badly as well, being pulled out of his truck. Yet we have this, and I'm told that, I guess, without the context. And without the context, we just can't really figure out what happened there. I don't know. I don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar, and I'm sorry, Mama, where I may have failed, no matter how much you've paid for this education, that I did not reach Rhodes Scholar status. But my eye cannot be that deceitful of a tool that I really cannot see the injustice that is caught on camera and that other people not see it and just do the right thing. I'll be quiet at that point right there.
Hey man, well, no, it was just being quiet. I like Sister Barnes' comment. You know, when said I agree we have to continue to demanding justice. And let me say this. And Pastor Robin had to help me a few years ago. Said, "Man, Sims, you live in a different reality. You're in a different life." And but why is Maureen? Help me. No, I'm for discussion purpose. I want to push a little bit. We're still demanding justice, but if it wasn't for a cell phone video or something like that, why is it that in 2020 we still got to demand justice? Why is that? And I'm being rhetorical right there in that question. I'm just trying to understand and push a little bit. And so why do we have to be reminded that November 5th is a few days away? We need to go vote. Why is that? Why and I understand where we are, but Bishop, I need some help here. I understand as much as we preach and we teach and we push and we pull and we even try and drag some folks into some conversations. When is our change gonna come? How do we preach our change gonna come to people? And it looks like every time we preach change gonna come, it gets further away. I guess what I'm saying in my long-winded Baptist preacher way. How do we keep preaching this, but yet it gets further away from us? Help me out.
Man, I got those same questions. I got those same concerns because this continues to be known. And what always blows my mind is when you check the record of the person that's trying to accuse us, you always find some dirt in their past and in their history. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The Ahmaud Arbery situation. You check the guy's record who killed this man. All of the stuff that came out about those who killed Ahmaud Arbery. When you check the record of those who have these positions, who most often get into these situations, when you run their background, you find out all this negative stuff they done, all these run-ins they've had. So this continues to be an issue for us in America. This race stuff continues to be an issue. And you invite people to come to the table and have these conversations, and they still bring their animosity, they still bring their fear, they still bring their resentment, and they walk away the same way and unchanged. It's just like us in the church. We preach the same types of message so that people might change, but they go out shouting happy and come back with the same issues all over again. And we just got to encourage people. We just got to keep addressing it, keep proving the fact. One of our biggest problems is the media. I think once the media can start to give a positive light to some of the stuff that African Americans do and those who are disenfranchised do, I think that will help out. And then I think the other issue is economics. When we financially, for a greater part of our people, are in a better financial spin, I think things will be better or will have to be different, because then you become more of a producer than a consumer. So I just think we got a lot of those type of things that we have to still address in our society. But it's hard to change minds of people who don't want to change. But we have to continue to present positive representations of ourselves.
Amen. Man, I love it. Pastor Rob.
Well, I'm going to say this, Pastor Sims, and this was another piece that I really do think about. And I'm going to just go ahead on and go there and say that on this evening. I know that the majority is definitely jacked up, and I know that they may not feel that they're jacked up, but the majority is so jacked up. I'm talking about the dominant culture that basically still or has put in some systems within place within America. But I also think about psychosocially where the minority is. And I'm not going to just talk about African Americans. I'll get to us last. But it's sad that when people are newly a part of this culture, probably one of the first things they do is learn the N-word. and learn that we are the basically bottom feeders of society and how to not treat us well. You can set up businesses in our neighborhood and we will support or patronize those, yet you do not invest in the neighborhood of where you have businesses. For the DMV area, you drive back to Virginia, you drive out to the suburbs of Maryland, but you don't reinvest in the business that you set up in our community. So we go to your hair product places, we go to your nail salons, we go to your corner stores, we go to all of these different businesses that are within our community, yet there's no community investment. We have people, quite honestly, if I were to drive to a Home Depot lot, that know how to say the N-word, even if their English is limited, and will do all kinds of work around the house for me. We have then our people, if you will, that are my skin folk, they're not always my kinfolk. And unfortunately, we have been so systematically taught certain things about the value of white people and the value of things being white and them being right, that unfortunately as well, what I look at and I think about around this story, because the other piece that we have not brought up is that a hotel manager, which they said that they have to look at and then say that he may need some other training, that you'll believe the cries of this Puerto Rican woman.
Right. Right.
And as the father brought up, like, this is the only iPhone made in America. Like, you have the only iPhone, so my son has to have it because you were the only one with an iPhone.
Right.
And we will believe that. And unfortunately, I did not learn, and I will say this to Bishop, and I'll say it publicly. Bishop, I didn't learn until I got to VCU, unfortunately. It really didn't click. Then I learned, but it did not click. The dangers of white women's tears. That's a really scary thing to understand how they can be weaponized. And while I had read things about Emmett Till and other things beforehand, and I was glad to see Sister Barnes bring that up, I didn't learn the danger of a white woman crying foul until kind of being outside of seminary and dealing with that, and to really understand it, that unfortunately the weaponization of a white person using that, and to look at things that we've been reminded of over 2020 and I think even 2019, with the white woman that was in the park because her brother was out there, you know, watching birds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it says she's going to pick up the phone and then tell them X, Y, and Z, and knowing what that would mean, knowing how much that police will automatically go to the white person and look at us like we are the ones that are perpetrating a crime, even when things are happening to us. Did not bring this up on last week when a young man can be shot in his garage in Ohio.
Say it.
You can stand there and then still not do anything to help save his life. And Bishop, we won't even get into your home state right now, what's going on down there for Ahmaud Arbery and what we're still trying to deal with right now with all of that. Yet we basically had a lynch mob, a modern day lynch mob, chase this young man around and kill him.
Yep.
Off of whatever they felt in their gut.
Yep.
And I'm really scared. And I'll be honest, I got some people I love in Florida, but I'm scared to go down there because y'all stay in your ground law. Because it looked like it can be too much that goes on there that I really would be scared. So, and as Pastor Sims would say, to borrow this from him, in my long-winded preacher way of trying to talk about some of this, there's so many injustices and issues that are there that, yeah, I'm a little bit scared. So I appreciate Pastor Sims, and if you want to read some of these, I know that they're able to see them on the screen there. And I definitely appreciate the one that you put up there. I'll get it. Elder Fields, it says, I know you are being rhetorical, but my version of justice is different from Candace Owens. And sometimes we confuse justice with only capitalism. How much money can I get? That doesn't translate into changing the system, but rather just making sure our freedom papers look fancy. You know, and Deborah Heard Simmons, I appreciate that comment there. Why is it that we always go to they need more training?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say this and I'm going to shut up right here. Maybe some of the training isn't corporate, but oh my gosh, for anybody that has grown up under the African diaspora, maybe these people need a little bit more home training. Maybe they need a little bit more belt, a little bit more shoe, or a little bit more something that I can tell you is more corrective, a little bit more skillet. Forget my man. Oh gosh, what's my boy? I can't even think of his name right now. But instead of doing more cowbell, maybe we need to do more beating of some people, and maybe we can beat some sense into them. That's all that I got to say, Pastor Sims.
Yeah. And we thank all of you for all of your comments on tonight. As we push our way through the show and we talk about these different things, that incident.
Christopher Walken, that was his name, Christopher Walken.
Yeah, and as we push our way through some of these topics, and I'm thinking for Deborah tonight, and for Elder Fields, who always pushes us. But I love it. The freedom papers look fancy, and you push right there. That's a button that we need to really get there. And listen, y'all, if we're gonna set the tone for 2021, if we're going to really do some things in 2021, own some things and do some things, we got to change the narrative. We got to change the conversation. And it's nothing that this young man did anything wrong. His father did nothing wrong, but we can't accept everything. Now I'll be honest with you. I'm like Deborah. Why is it the corporate line is we need more diversity training and we need this, we need that. No, Pastor Rob, like you said, they need some home training. But you know what? But here's my point to this. I'm going to take a page out of Elder Fields' book. Maybe the next time we in New York, we don't stay at Arlo Hotel. Maybe, Bishop, that we do some things to really let people feel the economic power that comes out of our community.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to do some things differently and not just settle for, because they got the best rate and that they pride themselves on having the best room rate in the area, whatever. I don't care if you find somewhere else to stay, because you know what, the manager was wrong. Yeah. Period. His response was wrong. Everything was wrong. And so I'm simply saying to us, is it comes a time for us that we have to stand up and make our voices heard. And like Phil said, you know what, we want to drive fancy freedom papers. We want to wear fancy freedom papers. We want to do all those things. Yes, Shan, we need to hit them in the pocket, and we need to let it be known that we're not going to accept this. And I mean that, like when, I forget, one of them high-end stores, Gucci, and one of them did that racial commercial. And like we talked about this on this show before, Pastor Rob, we got a 30 to 60-day attention span on issues. In our community, we have a 30 to 60-day attention span. And the fact of the matter is, we need to make things be felt, and we need to understand. Oh God, yeah, we got to deal with that tonight, Mark. Elder Fields, we got to get that one tonight. But listen, we got to get that as well. But Pastor Rob, you the producer, man. Back over to you.
No, Doc, we can catch that there, and we can definitely go there, because again, that's another case, Elder, of one that definitely is there and is done. And there's so many different things that I feel that need to be addressed and changed. So I appreciate your comment there about the social worker who was wrongfully searched and everything that went on in there. And again, to set the stage for this, so for folks that don't know, I know my brother over there definitely knows, is that is literally in his backyard. But there was a social worker who had just gotten off of her shift, come in and changed, and the police essentially show up again at the wrong address. We know this story again all too well. Show up at the wrong address, bust open the door, and I think it was for about 6 minutes or so, definitely for sure, have left her there naked, unclothed, and then handcuffed. The next thing that they do after about 6 minutes is at least try to get something to put over her, which keeps flying open. After about 20 minutes after that, they finally allow her to go back in to put on something, and then still have her handcuffed, and she keeps insisting that they have the wrong place. They finally acknowledge that they do have the wrong place and the wrong person, still have traumatized this lady, and then try to half-heartedly go repair her door, or at least try to get it so it will close somewhat. No real repairs or anything else like that. And on top of this, offer no apology. So, no, you're fine, Elder. You're not out of order there. So you definitely are fine there in terms of that. So I think all of these things then are very relevant. And what we try to do is to really look at these things Elder Fields, because some of these, man, again, as I have shared, and not to beat a dead horse, but these things don't get national headlines, unfortunately, and sometimes they rarely get local, headlines as well. Yet we need to bring them to the forefront. So you're right on cue with some of this. So while CNN and others may have picked up that young man, and sometimes we're having to drive traction to be able to say that, no, this is newsworthy.
Yeah.
This is newsworthy, and this is why. And as I push with Pastor Sims, I'm not going to sit back and allow CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CBS to tell me what my news is. What I'm going to do is go and look and see what's affecting my community, what's going on with my people. And with being, again, as my pastor would say, the freest person in America, I will use the voice and use the pulpit and the power thereof to be able to talk about that. So with that, I will turn it over to Bishop now that I've set the stage to look at something that has gone on. And I'm sorry, she is a hospital social worker. So let me really put it in perspective that she had gotten off from her shift, Bishop. And again, I want to throw that in the gumbo for free. She's a hospital social worker that had gotten off her shift. That ought to hit home for some of us.
It's just so sad that these things continue to persistently happen. And I know that the police officers will say all kinds of different things as to why something like this will happen, but policing has to do a better job. One thing we talk about is hire the right people for the job. And sometimes it's not left up to training. Sometimes if you don't hire the right person, there's no way you can train bad mindsets to do the appropriate job. So like we were talking earlier about home training, some of the stuff has to happen from childhood to train people to have more respect and love for humanity. But to go in this woman's house and to leave her undecent, just to disregard her as a human being. She's a human being. Just to disrespect her that way, just no regard for human being, no regard for human life, no regard for someone's inalienable rights. It just blows my mind. It just infuriates me that people who are supposed to stand up for others are supposed to be the example of taking care of our society, that they would allow something like this to happen. So we just got to do a better job. We got to do a better job. We got to do a better job. Over to you, Pastor Paul.
Amen. Let me say this to Elder Fields, and I'm so glad he brought this up. But let me say this about her, because here's what's not in the news. Here's what's not in the news, Pastor Rob. Bishop, they offered her $2 million off the bat. To keep this quiet, they offered her $2 million off the bat. And now in these times, so they offered her keep her job, and they offered her $2 million. But I need y'all to get this. So she turns the $2 million down. Now there were people here locally that criticized her for turning down the $2 million. Now you break down my door. You come and you do all these things. You come and you humiliate her. You have her stand naked for 6 minutes. You finally put something on that's too small that won't stay closed, and you put a blanket around it. You do all these things. They half-heartedly fixed her door. They did not send for a professional to come out like they do to board up downtown when they went through downtown. And then the mayor tries to cover everything up. The mayor says, well, I didn't know about this. And the mayor knew about it back when it happened. So that's also all this is playing out now in Chicago. But one thing that you don't see, and I'm so glad, and I'm gonna say this: shame on our people for saying that she's being greedy for not taking the $2 million, because I just want to put this out there. What price will you put on your safety in your home? What price will you put on your reputation? What price will you put on your peace of mind that when you close and deadbolt your door on the place where you pay the bills?
Yeah.
So for everybody who's hating on her here in Chicagoland, shame on you. Shame on you for talking about her because she turned down $2 million. For me, I'm like everybody else. They need to put some more commas in there, put some more zeros in there, because 2 ain't enough. So come on, somebody. Help me out, Pastor Rob.
Well, I'm just going to say this. And again, I think the last few folks here have definitely caught some of the sentiments of what I have. Shan, you basically, in terms of math always says when you get done with stuff, you know, you draw a little line there to basically get to the bottom line. Trauma for life. I can't imagine not feeling safe in my home.
Right.
Yet, I know what it's like now to not feel safe in my home. That's not a good feeling, folks. I'll be very honest with you. And I had a friend of mine that had to say, Robert, I commend you, because you've had to heal in a place where you've been hurt and where you have dealt with a lot of trauma, and yet you've had to do it in the same toxic environment that you were in. I think to understand that and then look at that and then try to really heal and push past some things as well. Baby, there's no amount of money. And while you get chance, and everyone has their rights in America, and you have your right to weigh in on this. But unfortunately, when you are only looking at the money and you don't really have the experience or understand the trauma that you are, you know what I'm saying, in your environment where you should feel safe, you haven't done anything wrong and you have no record of sort. You put that in the background of dealing with somebody like a Breonna Taylor, and you're thinking as a Black woman or a Black person in general, because I will say I would have felt the same kind of trauma. And then how am I supposed to feel safe here? Social workers do a lot of interfacing in with police. What's my mindset now every time I may have to see them and deal with other victims that come into the hospital that have been molested, that have gone through something, their adult abuse or elder care abuse or other things that are there, children that we know that have been abused and we see come through there and we have to interface with the police, people that are on the hit and run and they bring into your hospital a whole bunch of other stuff. Man, there's so much that goes on that you cannot really understand the trauma of then having to interface in with the representatives of the people that have victimized you that are supposed to protect and serve. Baby, if you feel like 2 million is doing something off of that, man, miss me with that. And for me, it wouldn't be about the money that would be anything compensatory for me on that. And 2 million would probably be a bonus. And I can't say what a figure would be that would be right for me. But there'd be other things that I'd be asking for, like, look, I need y'all to cover my therapy for life. I need y'all to cover my therapy for life, because I really need to deal with that. And then, you know, some other things got to go up in there. You can give me that money, but there got to be other things in there with that, I'll say as well. Like, you know what? If this is my family home and you've desecrated that, we going to have to move somewhere else.
Right.
You know, some other things that I feel like, you know, again, to really put on the table, because, again, that piece that's there, you really got to be real with. And quite honestly, a couple of y'all may have to be my bodyguards for a while, quite honestly, because I need to keep an eye on you with some other stuff there as well and make sure that y'all know, don't have nobody else break up in my house. Y'all sit up here in the squad car all night or whatever else in front. There'd be so many things I would be suggesting that little 2 million, because if I can't sleep at night and then feel like I got to wake up and I'm like, hey, I might be incontinent. I might pee on myself in the bed because I'm so scared that somebody else is going to break up in there and I don't feel safe in my house. And like Sister Barnes has said, I may, you know, have to look at being in a gated community because of how I feel, to be very honest. I mean, I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you, if you feel like just that money will take care of the issues that I would have, I would say this, Pastor Sims, and hopefully I got it right, because I've only played putt-putt or miniature golf. Hopefully I'm playing the long game and not the short game and trying to cash out and not really realizing my issues that would exist on the other side of the trauma that I've gone through. Bishop, over to you, man. Oh, wait a minute, Bishop, we want to hear you.
So I wanted to kind of get a visualization, because I was not totally aware of this story. But they also ransacked her house. Mm-hmm. Like tore her bedroom to pieces. I mean, no dignity. The woman is standing there crying, is distraught. Even in the replay, as she's watching what happened, I mean, they just it's just ridiculous. This is just sickening. This and what bothers me the most is this could be our sisters,
Right.
somebody that's connected to us, somebody we know. How would you truly feel? That's what I'm saying. Like, we have desensitized ourselves to humanity. Like it don't even matter. Like, just coming and destroy this woman's home. And I understand they have a job to do, and I understand that certain things look typical. You go into a home and the person says, "Oh, you got the wrong place." I get that. But there has to be a better investigative job that's done when you're going in. How did they go about getting a warrant for this type of situation? What was that not validated and backed up? I'm sorry, Pastor Paul. I got more questions. Go ahead.
Let me help you. Let me answer that one for you as well right now, because the officer this is not his first time making a mistake on a search warrant like this. So he has been relieved. That's also not in the news as well. Is in the news here locally, but the officer has been relieved because he has made this mistake before. That they've been at the wrong address. He put the wrong address in. He has done this before, so the officer has been relieved. So that's also not in the news as well. But just so you know, point of reference, just so you know, he has been relieved because this is not his first time doing that. I'm sorry, Bishop. Go ahead.
No, it's good to know that, and I hope that part of the story will be brought out, and I hope that they will do more of an investigation before any of these continue. Not only with him, but with the entire department, and the DA will do more to ask more questions, and the state's attorney would ask more questions, and the governor would be more involved to. I'm sorry, not the governor, but the mayor would do more to be involved since he knew about it, but would ask additional questions to make sure that we're not violating anyone's constitutional rights. Because the fact is this: when they bust in her door, if she would have started shooting at them, she'd be dead, but she would have been right.
Right. Come on. Yes, sir, Doc.
Because they had the wrong person, they came to the wrong address. So she has the right to defend her life because they got guns drawn. So if she would have started shooting when they came through the door, she would have lost her life, but she would have been right. So then how much money would they offer? Would it still be $2 million? Right.
Love it. Come on,
I'm
man.
just saying.
Come on. That's Rob.
Yeah, well, I think hopefully I'm a man of persistence there. So I think hopefully if I've done this right there, Pastor Sims, hopefully we're going to be able to have all of this and be able to get this here. Are you able to see that? Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
At the wrong home in Chicago. Officers busting down the door of an innocent woman. And this morning, we're hearing from Anjanette Young about the incident. Alex Perez joined us with more from Chicago.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Anjanette Young says she knew immediately police had the wrong house, but no matter how many times she told them, she says they simply would not believe her. We should warn you, the video is difficult to watch.
Overnight, the innocent woman seen in this disturbing police body cam video speaking out.
They didn't kill me that night because God was covering me.
Chicago social worker Anjanette Young was changing clothes after coming home from work when police barged in carrying out a warrant at her home.
I ran into my living room, tried to grab something to cover myself. And before, I could do anything, the police were in. The room was dark, so I could just see lights and scopes on guns pointed at me.
Handcuffing her as she stood there naked, humiliated, and terrified.
Tell me what's going on. I was scared into compliance. Like, I just did what they said to me because I was afraid if I did anything or made any moves that they would shoot me. They had guns pointed at me. I feared for my life that night.
The incident unfolding back in February of 2019, but the video just now surfacing. Turns out police were working with an incorrect address. After about 2 minutes, police covering Young with a blanket. The police superintendent and Chicago mayor promising change.
I have an obligation to make that wrong right. It's been painful, and upsetting.
This comes after Young and her attorney accused Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration of trying to block release of the video, initially denying a Freedom of Information request Young made for the video, and even taking a local station to court to try to stop them from broadcasting the video. Lightfoot says she was unaware of what city attorneys were attempting to do.
It is quite literally in every single corner of our country.
Activists like those at Campaign Zero fighting to change the law and implement ways to hold police and other officials accountable.
So cities and states have to adopt comprehensive warrant legislation that restricts militarized tactics.
And Jeanette Young hopes her case will bring change to how raids are carried out, and says she will live with the trauma of the incident for the rest of her life.
I don't take it lightly that I'm sitting here in this moment in 2020 being able to say what happened to me, but I very much embrace and relate to Breonna Taylor. My incident happened before hers. When it happened to her, I cried for days, but I was also very thankful.
And Young says the entire ordeal lasted about 40 minutes. She and her attorney plan to file a lawsuit against the city. Guys?
Wow. Just the pain in her face, just the pain of that incident. Somebody had broken your home. They're walking around for 40 minutes. You have no dignity, no respect. You're scared to do anything because you know that if you move the wrong way, say the wrong thing, your life will certainly come to an end. But you never did anything wrong. And then to know that the governor, the mayor, wanted to cover this whole incident up, was willing to pay the news station that it not go on the air. And she is our skin folk.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. And Elder Fields, she knew at the time. They have emails that she knew when this happened. She was aware of it, so she was made aware of it. Her second in charge and her communications director, they knew the day after it happened. They knew about it. His email traffic proved it. So yeah, and Bishop, you're right. She's our skin folk, and you know this is sad, and it's sad. Yep, Shan, you're right about that as well. But it's sad that those things go on, and we have to live like this, and that's what's unfortunate for us is we have to live like this, and people think it's justified rather. And the other thing that they did, that the cops did, they went out and told the sergeant that they had the wrong location. And when they went out to tell the sergeant, the on-scene commander, they had the wrong location, they turned the body cam off. And one of the things I would hope that we would fight for in this day and age is that those body cams cannot be turned off. I think that should be a national thing, that the police body cams cannot be turned off. And yes, Shan, it happened over 2 years ago. It happened before Breonna Taylor. Yes. Pastor Rob?
Yeah, and I definitely, Shan, you definitely, I know we have it up on the screen, there wasn't one female officer present. And Elder, you raised a good question there. Would it have made a difference if the mentality is the same? And unfortunately, I would just go ahead on and argue that I don't know that it would have made much of a difference, unfortunately, because again, I feel that, and why I tried to go through what I was saying earlier, is that there are some things that are so entrenched within our environment. Unfortunately, I do believe that we really do not get how entrenched some of these thoughts are and the ways that we treat folks of color. Unfortunately, that again, for us, it's the norm. And I feel like because of the PTSD we suffer in our community, we're somewhat desensitized to it. And unfortunately as well, I feel that the rhetoric has gotten to be the same in terms of the response, and I'll deal with it from the church standpoint. Sometimes it's 15 minutes of fire, and then we forget about it. And for me, sometimes I really am not one, and the Lord still has to work on me on many things. I ain't going to just say on some things, on many things. But there's some things I just don't forgive people for. I'll just be very honest, and let me just put it out there. And then I can't really go back because, again, let me throw one thing out there. Something I definitely remember that we did. H&M, cutest little monkey in the jungle.
Yeah.
Y'all still shopping at H&M?
Yeah.
Because trust me, if they had it in my size, baby, they could not pay me to go up in there.
Right. Right.
There would have to be something that I would have to see. And I would be very Thomasinian in my response. I'm going to need evidence that your corporate structure has changed.
Yeah.
That you have African-American representation, African-American marketing, and some other things that are there to have a substantial change. Because I can't just forget the fact that everybody in the room decided to have a little black boy in a shirt that said cutest little monkey in the jungle. I'm sorry. That if y'all have forgotten about it, Big Rob has not. And that's still with me right now. That I can't forget about it. Trust me, baby, if you got a gift from me this year, it did not come from H&M. I promise you that. Because I am that vehement about that.
Right.
Starbucks just did 30 days of giveaway for healthcare and essential workers. When I saw my frat brother handcuffed up in there, and that was like the second incident that I've seen at a Starbucks that's gone on.
Right.
Baby. Again, I like free 99. I like when I don't have to pay, and anybody knows me knows I love coffee. Got a frat brother who makes coffee out of Atlanta, Georgia. Again, big shout out to Russell Gourmet Coffee, but you best believe I did not for 30 days go in there to go get free coffee because it's the principal, Smokey. There are principalities involved in this. And when I start to then have to go ahead on and say that for my people, I'm willing to sacrifice and forget the change, I can't do it. And for all the corporations like Amazon and others that have Black Lives Matter, but your corporate structure does not show that you tell me you can't find a black CFO, you cannot find a black CEO, you cannot find a black person to do this or that high up and not just one person at the table, then I don't know how much Black Lives Matter. So again, I don't try to play with this accountability thing. And I think that's one of the things that sadly, we don't have that. I'm going to walk around and get blisters and calluses on my feet. And please understand they ain't have Jordans or New Balance or whatever else, if you will, back in the day with the bus boycott. But right now, we've got such an apathetic spirit. And we talk about our ancestors and, we ain't our ancestors signed these hands. You're right. We softened in our ancestors in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
So I would just say, don't get that twisted, which would remind me that I need to pull up another video speaking about getting things twisted.
Well, while you pull that up and you get ready for that, I just wanted to say, it's time out, and we need to stop accepting everything. We always talk about it before they put the banana in the tail. We talk about that a lot on the show, and we're not joking when we say that. But it's time for us to demand some things differently. A few years ago when Colin Kaepernick did what he did and Pastor Rob boycotted the NFL for a whole season, I don't think he still went back to watching the NFL yet, really, if he does this off and on. But I say all that to say, we can't find head coaching positions, general manager positions. It's the same thing in Major League Baseball. It's time for us to start demanding a seat at the table. And one is not enough. And even here in Chicagoland, and I'm so glad that Elder Phil pushed a little bit on that, because what Mayor Lightfoot knew, I told Mayor, I met her personally. I've met her personally. I told her I was impressed with her, but this right here, she's lost some points with me. But she needs to understand that come election time, she's going to have to answer for this. And that we're not going to just put her back in office, Bishop, just simply because she's kinfolk. And we have to start doing some things and holding some people accountable, because that's where we are. Because until we start to do those things, we're not going to be taken seriously. We're going to continue to have the same conversation. And we have got to change our extension span from that 30 to 60 day time period. And we've got to make some people feel it. Like you said, Pastor Rob, we should not be, again, back shopping at H&M. We should not be shopping at Gucci and all those things. I know everybody love their Gucci's and all that stuff and whatever. But what I'm simply trying to say to us, if people don't see the value in us, we need to demand that they see the value in us. Come on, Bishop.
It's just a fact, and it's just clear. We have to come from an economic standpoint. We have to stop supporting those who don't support us. We have to quit spending our money in places that don't represent us. We got to quit giving our money to people who don't care anything about us. I think Pastor Rob, you got that video up and ready?
No, not yet, Bishop, because you just said something else that you know, it's definitely all of this goes together, y'all. Y'all have to get away. My mind works. And Bishop, you just said something that you know, we really, yeah, again, just give me one second here. Yeah, Bishop, I have both ready now, because I'm gonna go ahead on and we're gonna share both of these, because matter of fact, a lot of this is coming from out of your state there, Bishop, and I really want to be able to catch these here and for folks to be able to see.
Cast members will be joining me to reveal some jaw-dropping revelations.
Hold on 1 second. I'm just trying to get past this ad, unfortunately, y'all.
I want to go back to 3 years ago. I want to go back that time.
So we're going to have to deal with this for another few seconds. There
Developing tonight, backlash against a local business owner caught on tape yelling he hates the Black community.
And now residents are boycotting, even though the store's owner has apologized. It's all playing out at a gas station on Flat Shoals Road in East Atlanta. Barmel Lyons joins us live with more. Barmel.
Yeah, Rick and Sean, this is day 26 of an active protest. You can see behind me, people have set up shop. They've been out here saying we are not going to go in there and give our dollars, honking in response. Protesters saying they're boycotting because this Exxon is quote unquote racist.
Vicious words from the clerk of the ExxonMobil gas station on Flat Shoals Road. According to the community, the owner following suit.
He was like, get the F out of here, you food stamp cockroach. 3 days after that, he called another black man a begging monkey.
Disgusting racial slurs triggering the community to unite and fight back.
It's a privilege to do business in our community.
Working for you, I went inside the gas station to get answers.
I wanted to know, what have you guys done about that, as well as getting reports that you as the owner called someone a monkey.
No, man, it's not cool. According to the owner, the clerk went on all social media platforms and apologized.
Please forgive me. Okay, I work for this store for almost 10 years. Give me one more chance, and I promise you that I will never make this mistake again.
Although protest organizer Joe Jones believing an apology isn't enough, saying he's reached out to Exxon for support at least several times, but got no answer.
He had on a company shirt in the video that surfaced, and this is an Exxon gas station. So I want to hold them to the highest level of accountability, and we deserve a response.
Jones says he will not stop until there's, quote, justice.
We need to spend to our community's benefit. So we're up here to shut the store down. We're up here, this is day 26 of this boycott, and we'll be here for however long it takes.
The owner sent me surveillance video where he says he offered to give protest organizers $5,000 to stop protesting and leave the property. Jones, the protest organizer, said he refused the money and would rather see the gas station out of the neighborhood. Now, one thing I do want to note, the owner also says that other people who are not the protest organizer came in there and has accepted money, has vandalized, and he identifies them as quote unquote protesters. Overall, I did reach out to the Exxon Mobil headquarters. I've yet to hear back from them. In Atlanta, I'm Barmel Lyons, CBS 46 News.
You're muted, Pastor Rob.
Forgive me because I had to find that clip on the fly there. So I want you all to forgive me because the update of that story is that we have economically so impacted that man that he is now selling that store because he has lost so much money off of the boycott of people not soliciting that gas station any longer. So that's where we are with that and the power of economics in our community, especially with an organized boycott that this man has had to sell. And I believe that the lead of the protest has been the first one that has been offered to be able to buy the gas station if he can come up with the money based off of what he has done and through that organization and through that boycott of that gas station. But again, it substantiates what I said a little bit earlier about the fact that immigrants know how to come in and use the N-word within our community. They know how to have an opinion about people that they probably have not interacted with until they got here. They have incentives to be able to set up businesses within our community, yet they don't respect us. Yet when do we come together to say enough is enough and have group economics within our own community and dictate how people are to conduct themselves when they operate in our neighborhoods? Pastor Sims or Bishop, over to you.
Yeah, it's time for us to have some conversation. I'm so glad this happened and they were able to do these types of things and make their voices heard and let the economic impact be felt. But we need more of this. And I want to go back to Elder Phil's comment from earlier about them fancy freedom papers. We need to stop driving it, wearing it. We need to, I'm being honest. I'm just being honest. We need to understand some things and we need to come together and be able to open up our own businesses and then support those businesses. But even when we open our own business, we need to in turn make sure, and we've talked about this on the show before, Pastor Rob, we need to make sure that we do open up those businesses, that we provide the service that people deserve. And we shouldn't have to open up a business and not demand or give people what they are paying for. So that's a revolving thing right there. But it's time to have some think tank discussions. It's time to have some economic type discussions to where we not only make our voices heard, make our dollars count, and we have to do some things differently. It's that time. And in order for people to understand who we are, our buying power, like what happened in New York, what happened in Starbucks and other places like that, when those things happen, there's another restaurant in Atlanta where a high-end restaurant where something like this just happened as well, where T.I. has been on social media. T.I. was trying to mediate the whole situation between the restaurant owner and the individual that it happened to in that whole piece. And this continually happens. It hasn't changed. And so, since it hasn't changed, it's time for us to change the narrative. It really is time for us to change the narrative. There's enough restaurants, black owned, that's high end. Pastor Rob, when I worked in DC for those years, every Monday night I shared with you before. Monday night was my night. I went to Gladys and Ron. That was my place. I went for dinner. Every Monday night, the staff knew me. I worked in DC for almost 4 years, and I went to that restaurant, and I was shocked when Pastor Rob told me it was no longer there. And so, but I did that, and it comes a time when we have to say that we're going to support our own. And if the service isn't up to par, then call us on it. I'm being honest. But it's time for us to change our own narrative. It's time to change some things. Bishop, over to you.
Yeah, we need more of this type of thing to happen. And we need to not sweep these types of things under the rug. It's too often these things don't get the appropriate attention that they deserve. To say that enough is enough. I'm glad that the news media was willing to take on this story and to address it, because these things need to quit just getting swept under the rug. And it goes to show here again, they say, let's just throw some money at it. We throw $5,000 at it. They'll leave us alone. They'll get on out the way. And we got to not compromise on our end by accepting just someone throwing something at us to keep us quiet. So again, these type of things need to continually be brought forward. We continue to need to address them, and we continue to need to stand together as a community to say that wrong is wrong and right is right. That's where I'm at with this whole thing.
And again, I go with one other thing, and y'all know me, and I tell some people, make sure that you pray for me as well, because again, I know I ain't all the way right. But one, I'm gonna put a disclaimer for the holy saved and for the pastors that are on here for real. And if you're a little bit too saved, go ahead on and mute yourself out for about 1:48 seconds. But again, if you've lived anywhere and you definitely make it to the hood sometimes, or you make it to certain places where there are people that feel a little bit too comfortable in your hood, then this will not offend your sense or sensibilities. But again, this also underscores in a serious way, while I'm also have to laugh at it for what has happened because of what Bishop said. It made it just, this also just literally just this happened, I think either this week or last week. Well, last week or the week before now, since we're in a new week. But again, can't make this up. But again, you need to watch your mouth where you are as well. And again, I'm putting a disclaimer out there for the language.
Fuck my mama, nigga. Fuck my mama. Fuck your mama, nigga. Fuck your mama. You know
You're gonna pop up.
I live on 400 Oxford Avenue, 2 blocks away. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I'm gonna walk to you. I'm gonna walk right to my house for you, bro. Oh God, I'm not trying to disrespect you, bro. I'm not. I'm gonna say nigga all day, every day. Are you kidding me? Where you from, nigga? Where you from? Where you from? Where the fuck you from, nigga? You from here? Get the fuck out of here, you a clown, nigga. Oh God, you a clown, nigga. You from here? You a clown. What, you gonna smack me with that? Smack. Smack me. Smack me, nigga. Come on, yeah. Drop it.
Ooh. Yeah, you got yours, buddy.
Call me another fucking nigga. Call me another nigga. Call me another fucking nigga. Okay. Good. You good now? You good. I asked you not to call me a nigga.
I don't blame you, dude.
You good.
Now, what gets me about that video are several different things that have gone on. There are a couple of things that weren't necessarily shown, or at least in this version of the clip there, but we got people that you see things going one way, you don't want to step in to speak about them. You feel like it's okay for all of this to go on before, you know, my man has to go ahead on. And I had to laugh because of all the memes that have come out now with Twisted Tea. Matter of fact, I've now seen Twisted Tea being the peacemaker of the African-American community. But it's sad that we allow this to go on in businesses. Again, the N-word, and where we're so comfortable watching us just get abused in public. Yet when we go back, then we're the savages and the animals. But my man could have gone on ahead, got his little 2 beers, walked about that store, and kept his mouth quiet. But without doing that, it became such an inflamed kind of thing there. And I'm glad just hearing from there, because it was a white lady that had her phone out and stuff like that. But it's sad that nobody intervenes sometimes. And as I tell people, when I get hot-headed, don't restrain me, because I know me and I know what I'm going to do. Restrain that one that you don't know versus grabbing me, the familiar and everything else. But we have that goes on all the time. Yet there seems to be no policing, if you will, of this that goes on. To my people that I'm cool with that are white, if you got people like that in your family, can you police them for us? Can you let them know enough is enough? Some of the other things that are really there, you'd have more inroads with them probably than I would. But those are the type of things that I see go on that, and it happens in public. Real story, and then I'm gonna shut up. I worked, and the company's out of business, so I don't have a problem with saying it. I worked for Casual Male Big and Tall out in California. I had left Rep Big and Tall, another place is out of business, to go over there to go work at Casual Male. It was a couple more dollars an hour, everything else. And within a few weeks of being there, and I came in basically as an assistant manager, and there was a young lady who was white that was there, was assistant manager. She called me the N-word in front of customers and other folks. Now, when I said something and then I could see that she was not fired, I literally had tears just coming down my face. And I was so upset, but I was crying, not because I was hurt, but because I know how I wanted to respond, yet I knew the things that I could not do. Woman, man, white woman, black man. I just knew this was all going to be bad. And I'm literally up there crying. And then I go back in because I quit right then and there. And I thought about it and I was like, okay, mama taught me don't quit a job without having a job. Yet I went back because I was like, okay, well, let's talk and then let me try to see if we can raise this up. But I did not get my job back, but I was also surprised that the young lady was not fired and allowed to keep her job off of that, even with a customer that was able to substantiate the claim that I made about her and the language that she used. And again, I learned from that point that to be black in America means to be wrong in America until I can prove that I'm right in America. So, Pastor Sims, that's probably so you have a little bit more insight and other people have a little bit more insight to where sometimes I'm like Michael Evans, I'm a little bit militant. And while I may not have had the experiences of being next to, in some ways, people that you serve with for this country, the things that I've learned by living in this country in different areas of it, that tells me that things ain't the same. And that's something that I know I was taught inside of this home. And then when I left to go outside, definitely had it substantiated. One of y'all take it now. I'm going to shut up.
Bishop?
Well, these things are true. These things are real. These things have real feelings and real consequences. And unfortunately, this is the fact that many, even our brothers and sisters that look like us, face on a daily basis. We may not experience it as often as they do. And that's what's the most heartbreaking to me. And we are always constantly reminded of our skin color. I work in a hospital setting, and many times people remind me that I'm African American, and I have to remind them that I don't have to be reminded that I'm African American. There's no need for you to remind me of that. I'm reminded that every second of the day. And just the fact that you think I have to be reminded that I'm African American makes me wonder, from what lens do you see life? And also, what lens do you see me? So those things continue to persistently bother me. And it bothers me to hear that my great leader had an experience like that, for I've had experiences like that too, growing up in the real South. Knowing that I have two family members in my family history that miraculously disappeared with the aid of white mobs. Two on both sides, on my father and my mother's side, that just disappeared one day. Family has never seen them again. We know cognitively what happened, but this is my family history. These are facts. These are things that happen. These things that can continue to happen. Things that will never make the news media, will never get publicized, and will go down in family history because they happen. So that these things still happen today, it just blows my mind. It just breaks my heart. And I just hope that something that we could do or say will encourage someone who has a negative spin or a negative lens about African Americans and especially African American men, will begin to examine themselves and examine their heart to see if their thinking may not be the appropriate way to think. Yeah, I will agree. There are some that are who are lackluster, as there are in all societies. But for the most part, there is no mindset that gives the trapping of beliefs that this particular person could be of some good standing. And I would hope that something we do or say would encourage someone to look further, to change their lens, and to evaluate their mindsets. Over to you, Pastor.
Amen, Bishop. I appreciate you for that. And let me say this, we didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time on this. I'm not about to end yet, but I want to talk about this. We're talking about the same things, y'all. And this is what's frustrating about this whole thing. And I don't want you to think that this is all we talk about on the show, but it's all we talk about because it's continuously going on. So the reality of it is, so while this may be an ongoing theme that we talk about, it's not that this is what we want to talk about. How can you be an African American man in the garage working on a car and you are shot with a cell phone in your hand? And I have heard people say it, and people that responded to the video of the gentleman that was shot in Columbus, Ohio, about, well, his right hand was behind his back and the police officer didn't know. You can try and justify anything, but the fact of the matter is there was no warning given to the man to bring the right hand forward. There was no command given for the man to obey. He was murdered. He was murdered for being black. And that's what we're talking about right now. And so I say all of that in my long-winded Baptist preacher kind of way, just to say it's time. If you want the conversation to change, then it's time to change the narrative. And it's not just for us to change the narrative. It's for those that may not look like us, that may not be as dark as us, that may be a Caucasian persuasion, but it's time for you to see us and not see us as less than you. That's really what I want to say. And so, Pastor Rob, I want to let you go before I do anything else.
Well, with that, Pastor Simmons, I know we are kind of pressed for time there, but I do want to share one last thing that to me is significantly important here. And you kind of alluded to it a little bit there, so let me make sure that I do bring this up here. And,
your volume going down too.
I apologize. Let me try to move in a little bit there. I do want to share one last clip that I think that is significant. Excuse me, and wanted to be able to highlight this here.
Hey there. I gotta tell you this, guys. I do not like politics. I don't like being involved with it. I don't at all. But every now and then there's something that comes along that's so important that we all have to just stop and pay attention. The Georgia runoff is coming up on January the 5th. And I want to be sure that all my fellow folks in Georgia get out and vote. This is so important. And I tell you why. On so many levels. Back in, was it right before Thanksgiving, I fed 5,000 families at the studio. I was like, okay, we're going to get 5,000 meals and gift cards away, and this should be, a great thing for the neighborhood. I got to tell you, I was heartbroken when we got to the 5,000th family, and there was still a line trying to get to the studio that went around for miles and snaked through all kinds of neighborhoods. I drove around and I saw it. And I realized that this need is so great. I can't do it alone. No one person can do it alone. We need our federal government, and we need the leaders in government to be able to help us, right? So with that said, with the Senate runoff coming up, and just finding out that Mitch McConnell is blocking a $2,000 stimulus check. $2,000. It's shocking to me that people who have so much money cannot even care about what that $2,000 will mean for us, people like us, people who I grew up with, and people who are working families and working hard, So by the grace of God, I managed to do well, but that's all it's been, is the grace of God. So there's so many good people out there who are hurting because of this pandemic. And this shouldn't be about politics. This shouldn't be about playing games. This should be about getting people fed and getting them what they need. And in order for us to do that, we've got to change what's happening in the Senate. We've got to go out and vote, okay? So on January 5th, I need all of us to get out and vote. This is very important. Get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. My candidate, John Ossoff and Warnock. Those are my candidates I'm voting for. You can vote for whoever you like, but I think it's very important that we get out and vote so that we can shift the power in the Senate so that the people are taken care of. God bless you guys. I hope you had a Merry Christmas as best you could. I hope you have a Happy New Year. I'm looking forward to 2021 being nothing but full of love and joy and peace and grace. And I hope we return to some semblance of kindness and love toward one another. God bless you guys. God bless you. Always in my prayers.
Thank you for allowing me to share that there, Pastor Sims and Bishop. I just felt like it encapsulated so much, really, of what's needed in this season. Not telling anybody who or what to vote for, but I do think that it is important that we vote. I think anybody knows that I have a huge issue with Mitch McConnell. Huge issue. And I have a problem when people that have definitely enlarged themselves in public service. Pelosi felt like she was doing a favor giving us $600. It's not a favor when you're behind on your bills or other things that are there, and to really look at the impact of that. 2000, when people want to say, well, you'll go ahead on and just kind of blow that money. Everybody's not going out to go buy Jordans or other things with that, when there's so many real bills or other things that are there. And the discourse I think that Tyler Perry raised, which is why I wanted to use that clip, in terms of the people that are hurting out here. Real people are hurting every day. Even where I had jokes, and Pastor Sims did a great work up there for fire victims in Rickton Park. But to look at that, and while I say, and had meals out there and other provisions that folks were doing, and I'm glad that even when the city decided, or the township decided to step up there, that people decided to still leave their funds there to be able to serve those people and still to be able to do ministry. Even where I may have had jokes about, hey man, save me one of the meals or whatever. I thank God that I still have a job that's able to deal with that. But I do think that part of our conversation needs to get past parties when we're dealing with politics. And politics needs to get back to dealing with people. And if there has not been a season, I don't know what season will help to dictate that the people need to come first. All that we have going on in this country right now, with all that we have going on, our politics doesn't get back to being about people and not about party. We're lost and we'll never make our way back. Pastor Sims, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that commentary. Thank you both. I love you, man. Love the both of you. We thank God for everybody who joined us on tonight. But as we come to the end of another show, we thank you all for allowing us to try out these new streaming things and new streaming platforms and all of these things that we're doing. But I have to say something tonight. Now, this is my view and not Pastor Rob's or Bishop. I want to say this. A couple of months ago, and I'm not sure if you didn't hear about it, it was a thing that was out called Susu. Am I saying that right, Pastor Rob? The thing.
You are saying that correctly.
And I want to say this. And while everybody may have been approached by somebody to get involved and do some things, let me say this to you. And while everybody talked about it was a scam, a joke, and all this other things, let me help us to change our thought pattern. That process has not just started. It's been around for a long time, and other cultures has been doing it. And so, if we're ever going to change our narratives, we've also got to help pull each other up. We can't continue to try and press each other down or try and get there and leave somebody behind. See, other cultures do that right now. And that's how they're able to buy stores, and that's how they buy homes, and that's how they fund businesses and things, that they work together. And for us, it was a way to come up for a moment and not look out for anybody else. And so I'm not trying to get anybody to invest in something like that or whatever right now. That's not my point. But what I'm simply trying to say is maybe, just maybe, if we change our thought pattern, then we can begin to change the narrative and the things that go on around us. See, the one thing about that video that we saw about the people that closed their business down, what I would have liked the outcome to be is for one of us to come together, form partnerships, and bought that business because it was a resource in the community. So now I need us to grab that thing. And so if we can ever get to a point where we can work together for the good of each other, and not just for me, if we can come up together, it'll be better. One last thing I want to say to you. Have you ever been to a gas station and if you're like me, I like to stop my gas on the dollar. Have you ever paid attention? You go to some gas stations and it'll never stop on the dollar. It goes on the 2 cents. That's intentional. My father used to own a gas station when I was a little boy. My father owned one. You can set that pump to where it stops at a certain point. So think about this. I want you to pay attention to this. If you go to a gas station, it will not stop on an even number, and it always goes a penny over. Let me help you. Think about how many people, remember, pennies make nickels, and nickels make dimes, and dimes make quarters, all that stuff, and then it eventually turns into a dollar. So think about that when you go to certain businesses and how they take advantage of us in our own community. A penny may not seem like a lot, but keep going to that same gas station over time and look at how much money you wasted there. We need to pay attention to everything that goes on in our community. This is not a game. This is life. Bishop, over to you.
Well, I just want to say as we close on tonight, I want to applaud our show just for bringing up hot topic issues and not being afraid to share them and to talk about them. I really appreciate you two brothers, just your willingness to go and dig deep down and talk about areas that are sensitive, that are hurtful, and our response to those particular areas. And with that said, I just want to remind us that our vote and our money matter. I want you to really catch that. Your vote and your money matters. So put them in places that makes a difference for you. If you are spending your money in a place that doesn't support you, don't do it. If you're giving your vote to people that don't support you, don't do it. So always remember that your vote and your money matters. Over to you, great leader.
Man, well, with that, I just want to say this. I want to thank Pastor Sims, and I want you all to be on the lookout for a couple of different things. I think we are all at a point right now that we are seriously trying to invest in this piece of ministry that we do. And while it may not necessarily be the traditional ministry where you get 3 points and a shout or some other things, we're in the ministry of making sure that, and I can definitely think I can speak for these two brothers in saying that we're into disciple development. We really want to push people into an authentic relationship with the Lord. And I mean a sure enough authentic relationship. It's time out for being concerned just about numbers and not being concerned about basically the organic growth of disciples, that they have a deepened relationship and a deepened faith in God. So with that, we definitely are trying to make some investments to be able to take our media up and our presence up to be able to do that. So definitely want to thank Pastor Sims as we're still be tinkering. It may not be quite that we've settled on StreamYard yet, to be very honest with you. We are tinkering around with a few things right now to look at that. Part of that and why I bring that up is with the Periscope app being phased out, and glad to be able to see people like Apples that have joined us that are part of our morning devotion team that get on the morning devotion on Monday through Friday, and some of you all that don't have the app that we understand that are not there and able to do that. So, and definitely, Sister Barnes, appreciate your comments there, that you enjoy the discussions that we have with three engaging people there with Pastor Sims, Bishop, and of course, your son over here, one that definitely loves you showing up there, myself, and appreciate you and your steadfastness. And just being able to do that, and there may be other things that we're doing as well to be able to do this and to be able to say that we've not built this ministry off of the backs of anyone, to be very honest with you and being very candid. So with that, even if we go over to channels where we're able to monetize and to be able to do some things, to be able to really reinvest in this, to be able to kind of carry things out in a spirit of excellence, we will be looking at that and be doing that in 2021. Also, some things that we've been talking about and kind of kicking around, we're trying to really put some teeth to that right now. It's time out within this season and what God is allowing us to do with all of the things that are going on with the pandemic and other things to be there. So I say that to say that you can join us on right now, either via Twitter, because they're not doing any new signups for Periscope, to be able to catch that. And if you follow Redeeming Grace Ministries and the number 1, you will be able to find that. There will be a purple and gold logo that was done independent of Pastor Simpson and I being together. That were just the ministry colors that he has. Although I'm never mad when he puts purple and gold together, whenever it's put together, I'm never mad about that. So you can look for that logo there, RGM. With a cross and that logo there, and you can be able to catch us there and be able to see those devotions that we do Monday through Friday. We're definitely going to try to be a little bit more timely in 20 and 21 as well to be able to do that. So definitely want to invite you all to join us with that, but we may be on other platforms again. So please be on the lookout for those announcements as well. So with that, on behalf of Pastor Paul Sims, Kevin Graham, it's your boy Rob Tolson reminding you to walk on purpose, talk on purpose, serve on purpose, love on purpose. Georgia, you better show up with Georgia on your mind and vote on Tuesday on purpose. Yes. But whatever you do, because we got somebody that still got kinfolk and skinfolk down there in Georgia, named the Bishop. So y'all better show up and show out. And if you're not in Georgia, in all seriousness, you don't have to be there. Call somebody that we all got folk down there, Everybody move to Atlanta. You better call somebody in Athens. You better call somebody in Albany. You better call somebody in Decatur. You better call somebody down there. Call Tyrone. He probably, after getting out with Erykah Badu, is probably down there in Georgia. Call Ray Charles's folks down there. They still have Georgia on their mind. You know, if you ever had peaches, go ahead on and call somebody down there for that, being able to do that and get down there with somebody in Georgia. But there is no excuse. If you have to help with somebody really renting a van, being able to provide PPE to get people out to vote, there's too much at stake right now. There's too much at stake. And for a president that is also called down to Georgia, which we did not touch on this evening, to try and find 11,780 votes down there so that he can declare himself winner and monarch of Georgia, don't be fooled about what's at stake with this vote. So make sure that you walk on purpose, drive on purpose. Like I said, do whatever to get these people out to vote on Tuesday on purpose. But whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. You all be blessed, be great, but everything be it in Jesus' name. Remember to walk on purpose while you walk in his purpose. Every promise from God is yea and amen. So do something on today, this week, and this year on purpose for God. Yeah, Marietta, I don't care where you want to call out. Georgia, how you do that? Savannah. I'm so sorry, Kevin. Savannah should have been the first thing off my mouth. You know what I'm saying? Because I know my man is from Savannah. So I should have said Savannah first. So yes, hey man, look, for real, Dunwoody, I don't care, Duluth, wherever you are in Georgia, don't play. I don't care if you're in the backwoods. Seriously, in all seriousness, it's time out right now for the games that are happening down there in Congress, and we really do need to shift the vote that is happening down there. And with an election that will also be verified this week, please don't miss that on Tuesday, that Mike Pence will be sitting and presiding over the election results and everything to move this stuff forward. We got too much going on to be playing around with this, folks. So please get to work with that. We love you all. Be blessed. Be great. We will either see you all tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock for morning devotion, Eastern Standard Time, 7 Central Standard Time, or either you can join us on Bible study on this week on Thursday with Pastor Sims. And if Bishop wants to join in for sure, we can do that. If not, we'll see you all next Sunday. Love you all. Have an amazing and blessed week. Take care.
God bless you.
God bless you all.
Love y'all.